All right, Shalom, giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rukakadash. I like to say double honors to my apostles and elders, great millstone, who rule and taught us this truth. Also like to say peace and salutations to the Lord's elect, the hopeful elect in the 1/3. All right, Jabal Salah. All right, and today's video is going to be a correctional video, though, about the camp list I made last night or yesterday. It mostly pertains to the Revelation chapter 9 breakdown, but it's mostly going to be on the on the locusts and the scorpions, which I later found out are actually are actually like the World War I airplanes, not the fucking Apache helicopters or the helicopters, man, which is what I said in the video, right? Right, so that was my stupid mistake, man. Salakia brothers, Salakia Al-Bashim Yashai, and Salakia to you, Akim, and if you Akwaf that may be watching, listening, learning, right, I want to make this correctional video because, I don't want to cause any confusion, right, and I'm gonna bring out this precept, right, the brother Gabar War, he also brought out this precept too when he made the same mistake, but, it was covering on a different part of Revelation chapter 9 when it talks about the star, or going to Kaiser Wilhelm. But for me, again, it was I did the wrong breakdown on the locusts and the scorpions, man, and going on to I think Revelation chapter 7, not all the way down to 9. I mean, you can also start at 6 as well. Well, I broke down those parts of the scriptures wrong. So this is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 33, right? Right, to start off this lesson, for Yahweh is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints, meaning what, every, everyone great millstone and their affiliates and followers and believers, right? We're speaking in one accord, one doctrine, one truth, and we're here to break down prophecy, directly and correctly, right? Right. So and that's why we have the apostles and elders, teach us these things, right? That's why we gotta be diligent, in our research, which is what I failed to do. So which is why I'm making. Right. Right, and if you go to the book of Ephesians chapter 4 verses 14 verse 16, and again I also got this from my elder apostle Ramlab. And I'm also going to be featuring his video on the correct breakdowns of the locusts and the scorpions. This is the book of Ephesians chapter 4 verses 14 through 16. It says here that we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine and by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness whereby they lie and wait to deceive. Right. So right. We don't want to be deceivers. We don't want to be false prophets. We want to teach the truth correctly, but speaking in truth, in love, and may grow up into Him in all things, which is the head, even Hamashiach, from the whole body, fitly joined together and compact by that which every joint supplieth, according to the effectual working in the measure of every part, maketh increase of the body unto edifying itself in love. And that's right, so we're supposed to be edifying one another. So I'm going to show you the where I got the breakdown wrong, and then I'm going to jump to Elder Apostle Ramlab's video. Check his channel out. It's GMS Doc Info. Oh, I'm going to be showing you where I messed up. So here it is. All right, so the Apache helicopter was made in 1975. So but basically, what John the Revelator saw, right? It wasn't just the Apache helicopter, or when was the when was the helicopter made? All right, so the first helicopter was was made in 1937. So no, or Slovakia in 1939, right? Right. So this is well before World War II. And so let's Google were helicopters used in World War II? Yes, helicopters were used in World War II. And albeit limited numbers, primary from rescue, reconnaissance, and transportation. Right. But from here it sounds like John the Revelator. He saw them Apache helicopters, right? Right, like during the Gulf War. So John, he saw well into the future, beyond the scope of World War One. And again, no, that's that. And again, that's where I messed up. That's where I made the mistake. John the Revelator, right? Like he was seeing them dog fights, right? As the elder apostle Ram and other brothers that broken down the scripture as well. They're on the World War I airplanes, right? So. No, not no damn helicopter. In Revelation chapter 9, at least pertaining to that part, it was speaking of World War One, specifically World War One, not World War Two or the Gulf Wars, any of that. No, Revelation chapter 9 verses 1 on down, I believe, stopping at verse 10. And if I'm not mistaken, let me actually, let me check that out, just so I'm not bucking out. It was Revelation chapter 9 verse 1 through 12. That's speaking of World War One. So Slovakia. So that's why you always gotta do. That's why you always gotta be diligent, and check, right. Yeah, all right. So now we're gonna play the elder apostle Ramnab's video. I believe, yeah, 12:20 was the timestamp.
Okay, let's move on. All right, now that we covered that, let's read it again. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven upon the earth, which...
Oh yeah, Slovakia, right? Let me bring this up before before I play the video entirely. Let's jump to the Discord server, and we're going to jump to... Alright, again, disclaimer, copyright, disclaimer under section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. So, alright, so now that we have that out of the way, now we can play the video.
Let's read it again. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven upon the earth, which is Kaiser Wilhelm II. And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit, which was Europe. And what was the purpose for him being given that key? Because he was the one that set in motion the destruction of Europe during World War I. Verse 11, and they had a king over them, an actual monarch. It says, which is the angel of the bottomless pit. He is that messenger in Europe that was sent forth to bring forth this message of what? Of World War I. And this is why the 8th chapter and the 13th verse, it speaks about 3 woes, which is World War I, World War II, and World War III. And the 9th chapter, from the 1st to the 11th verse, is speaking about World War I. It says, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon, which means destroyer. So this particular king, who is a star, figuratively, who is an angel or the messenger of the bottomless pit, he's the one that brought that destruction, okay? Now, the next point here that I wanted to make was in the 5th verse, okay? Revelation 9 and 5. And to them, meaning in this whole war, World War I, that was going on, and these, the men that fought, the locusts, which were not actual locusts with venom in them. These were actual planes that, these were actual planes that, the Apostle John saw. As you can see, if you know what a locust is shaped like, this is shaped like a locust, the so-called World War I planes, and that's exactly what he saw. And when you read further down, it says in the 5th verse, and to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. Now, World War I lasted from 1914 to 1918. And somebody might say, well, that's only 4 years. Well, it started July 28th, 1914. Ended 11 November, 1918. 1914 to 1918, 4 years. But remember, this started in July. July of 1918 was the 4th year. Then you had July, August, September, October, November, almost 4 months. So those 4 months went into the 5th year. So it's 4 years and almost 4 months. So that means that it was 5 months or 5 years, as the prophecy stated that it would be. So the Lord made it last long enough to fulfill his prophecy. It didn't have to go the whole 5 years. 5 years. Just like the Babylonians were given 70 years to rule, and their rulership was cut short. They did about, 66, 67 years. But it was within that time frame. So the 5 months is 5 years, which we just showed you. That World War I began in 28 July 1914 and ended 11 November 1918. All right? That was 4 years and almost 4 months. So 4 years plus 4 months is what? The 4 months is going into the 5th year. So it was 5 months, which was 5 years. So it says, and to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months, 5 years. And their torment was as a torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. Why? Because they were getting hit by these bullets, which the scriptures call teeth of lion, when they were being fired. This ain't just like a one-shot thing. This is like rapid fire. So them bullets were coming out. They were hitting planes, knocking out the fuel, shooting down, the propellers, shooting the rudder, shooting the pilot, and causing these planes to fall, and also hitting the men. They even had an account of one man that got shot down in the plane, and I believe they said that he survived. When the plane hit the ground, he survived. So you could imagine he was probably in a world of pain. And there was an account where the elder Pastor years ago, we went into it, how them men were shell-shocked. They were catching hell. There was amputations, and it was like back then, it was just like straight up radical surgery. There was no anesthesia. There was nothing to numb the pain. It was just straight up, the guts of these men and the liquor and the stick or whatever the hell they put in their mouth to bite down on. So they was catching serious hell. Now, the next point I want to get into, which I know there's a particular individual is not going to like this one, but Revelation 98, I thought about this. This is the Apostle John seeing this and describing this in such a manner. And they had hair as the hair of women. So hair as the hair of women is what? Long hair. All right? So what does this remind you of? What the Apostle Paul said. It is a shame for a man to have long hair. Because long hair really belongs to a woman because hair is the glory of a woman. So a man really shouldn't have long hair. You know? But that's neither here nor there. But I just wanted to make that point. Now this hair, is a representation. As you can see, the scarf that's on this man here. Now imagine him, because he looks like he's the pilot and he's the gunner. So imagine he's flying the plane and this scarf, starts flapping back. And this is what the Apostle John saw. He saw the scarves flapping back. So he said he had hair like women. Now, in some cases, the Germans, they had a helmet, metal helmet, which remember Apostle John spoke about the gold helmets. They had metal helmets. Some of them had gold, some of them had silver. And they would have like hair on the top of it also, But the scarf would be more describing of the hair, as the hair of woman flying, in the back. Which shows you that a woman could have long hair, but a man should not have long hair because that's pretty much belongs to the woman. Just like the scripture say, a man should not wear that which pertaineth to a woman. You can see he has a scarf there, And then this individual here, you can see he got a scarf. So now just imagine these scarves flying in the wind. Now this right here, this could be a World War II plane because I typed in World War I. These are World War I pictures, This could be a World War II plane or it could be World War I, because I typed in World War I. All right, and these are some of the pictures that came up. I was trying to find one with, but it's going to be hard to find a picture with one of these locusts, and the scarf flying in the back because there's only so much footage and so many pictures that they have of World War I. Other stuff is pretty much, drawings and things of that nature. Now, let's read that again. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. Yeah, because these were the bullets flying out of the guns from the back. And that's why I said that they had power as scorpions or poisonous serpents. Poisonous scorpions, because one of the scorpions' venom comes from their tail, and they snapping at you. So when he saw it, it looked like a locust that had the power of a scorpion. And someone without understanding would read that and think it's talking about an actual poisonous locust. All right. So let's read that again. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. Now, the last point here in Revelation 9 is the 9th verse. It says, and they had breastplates. So you mean to tell me you had locusts with armor on that had the venom of a scorpion that were walking around looking for trouble, trying to pick fights? No. It says, and they had breastplates as they were breastplates of iron. So what does that represent? That represents the so-called locusts, or the locusts, which was the planes, with the metal on it. So pretty much he was describing a metallic locust. But it's not an actual locust. They're in the shape of a locust. This is the terminology that he had. They didn't have terminologies like airplanes, anything even remotely close to that, So he called it according to what was available to him. And he said that they came in swarms. Now, there was a video that Elder Apostle Tar was showing, and I can't remember how it was worded, but it said that sometimes these planes would go out in packs. I'm not sure if it said packs or what exact word it said. Let's see, World War One plane formation. Let's see what comes to see. They were flying packs. So the locusts fly that way. You know, when they're going around, you know, eating up grass and trees and leaves and all of that. All right? World War One, boom, 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 you know, formation. And that's how they fought, too. And then sometimes they would break up because, you know, of the enemy, and they would have to move around and, you know. But pretty much, if you look at a locust and you look at these planes, that's what it looks like. But the point in this verse here, they had breastplates as the breastplates of iron, which, once again, is the metal on the outside or the metal on these planes, right? It says, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle, because they were very noisy. Now, the muffler itself was invented in the late 1800s, right? But the particular muffler for these planes was not invented till later. You had someone called Eldorado Jones. Now, Eldorado Jones was a woman, as you can see in this picture. She was an actual woman, right? And it says here, Eldorado Jones, 1860-1932, was an American inventor nicknamed the Iron Woman. Her factory in Moline, Illinois, mainly employed women over the age of 40. Best known for inventing an airplane muffler. See? So she was the actual inventor of the airplane muffler. Whether somebody else invented it and they just gave her the credit, you know, we don't know. But there goes a muffler, because when the Apostle John saw the vision, he actually heard it. And the planes were very loud. And that's why he said it sounded like horses and chariots going, you know. It says she also developed lightweight electric iron, a travel-sized ironing board, and a collapsible hat rack, and an anti-damp salt shaker. Jones was born 1860 in Palmyra, Missouri. Her family moved to St. Louis, and her father, Alonzo Jones, deserted them. Eldorado first took work as a teacher in Lafayette, Indiana. Detesting this job, she became a stenographer at an insurance company in Chicago. By 1913, however, Jones had become an inventor. She opened an all-women factory in Moline, Illinois, if I said that Moline right, dedicated to manufacturing her creations. She devised an airplane muffler in 1919. This was after the war was ended. So the World War I planes were very loud because they didn't have a muffler system, although the muffler system was invented in the late 1800s. But it wasn't until this invention in 1919, which was a muffler for the actual plane to quiet the noise, that happened. So that's why the Apostle John, you know, described it as such, because he actually heard the noise from the planes, and it was very loud. Following tests at Roosevelt Field, she patented the invention in 1923. Time magazine described the muffler in action. Puffing upon one cigarette after another, she was a chain smoker. Miss Jones directed mechanics in attaching to the Cyrus engine a moth biplane, a muffler of her own invention. As the plane sped along the runway and over the hangars, there were noises of thrumming propeller, snapping pistons, vibrating metal, but there was no bark of exhaust. You know, as the Apostle John said here, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle, because they were very noisy, until the invention of the muffler for the actual plane by Eldorado Jones, a woman, you know? So those are some of the points I just wanted to make, you know, in Revelation 9. You know, let's see what we got.
All right, and it's pretty much ends the lesson there. So you know, the water elder apostle Ramlab for having this edification on Revelation chapter 9. For the breakdown, with that, we have to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Kakadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone, who well taught us this truth. Also like to say peace and salutations to the Lord's elect, the hopeful elect in the 1/3, his brother Salah. And with that, I'd like to say Shalom.